Today, we're digging into a question that more and more parents are asking themselves. How do you raise really good, thoughtful, ethical kids, but without religion? We're going to explore the roadmap laid out in the book Parenting Beyond Belief to see what answers we can find.
All right, let's just jump right in with the big one. For a lot of secular parents, this can feel like the single biggest challenge, right? When you decide to step away from those traditional religious frameworks, what do you use to build your family's moral foundation? It can kind of feel like someone handed you this amazing toolbox, but forgot to give you the blueprints.
And, while that might sound a little scary, the whole perspective here is that it's actually an incredible opportunity. It's a chance to consciously, deliberately choose your values. You get to build a parenting philosophy from the ground up, one that's based on reason, empathy, and a real sense of wonder. So it's not about there being a void, it's about having a clean slate.
And this quote just nails the core idea. See, secular parenting isn't about rejecting values, it's about embracing a different set of them. So instead of faith, the real emphasis shifts over to inquiry. Instead of obedience to a specific dogma, the focus is on love and on critical thought. These two things, questioning and love, they become your new foundation.
So to build on that new foundation, there's this really fundamental mindset shift that has to happen. It's a move away from something called fear thought and toward free thought. Let's break down what that actually means.
The contrast here is pretty stark, isn't it? On the left, you've got fear thought, which basically teaches you to be afraid of your own mind. It suggests that some thoughts are dangerous, maybe even forbidden. But on the right, you have free thought, which celebrates the mind. It reframes your head not as some battlefield of temptation, but as a courtroom, where you, and only you, are the judge, calmly weighing the evidence.
And this whole idea just comes to life in this really powerful story from the author Dale McGowan. His 8-year-old daughter Erin was in tears one night, and she was absolutely terrified of the bad thoughts and bad words that just kept popping into her head. She felt so guilty. But instead of telling her to just try not to think those things, he told her this: "You are never bad just for thinking about something. Never." He gave her permission to think anything. He explained that her mind was her courtroom and she was the judge. And the relief was just immediate. She later told him it was the best thing he ever did for her, because it set her mind free.
Now, a huge part of this free thought approach is actively fighting against what the author calls numbing familiarity. It's all about cultivating a really deep sense of wonder about the world. Without a divine explanation for everything, the universe doesn't suddenly become meaningless. If anything, it becomes even more amazing, and it's on us to really notice it.
And here is a fantastic way to get some perspective and feel that wonder. Imagine the entire history of the universe is compressed into one single calendar year. Okay? The Big Bang happens at midnight on January 1st. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, doesn't even form until May. The Earth, it doesn't show up until mid-September. Dinosaurs finally appear on Christmas Eve. And get this, all of humanity, we pop up at 10:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve. And all of recorded history happens in the final few seconds before midnight. That perspective is it's so humbling, and it gives you a deep appreciation for our brief, incredible moment in the cosmos.
So, with this foundation of free thought and wonder, how do we actually go about building a happy, meaningful life? Well, the answer lies in some pretty practical psychological tools.
One of the key concepts is something called flow. And I guarantee we've all felt this. It's when you're so completely absorbed in what you're doing, maybe it's playing music, solving a tough puzzle, or just having a great conversation, that you totally lose track of time. This state, which psychologists have studied, isn't just simple pleasure. It's a deep, deep form of satisfaction that really contributes to this feeling that life is worthwhile.
And flow is actually just one piece of a bigger picture. Research in positive psychology points to a few key ingredients for happiness that are totally accessible to everyone, no matter what you believe. These are the building blocks. Savoring the simple pleasures, a good cup of coffee or a sunny day. Engaging in rewarding work that uses our skills. Fostering love and connection with other people. And finding a sense of purpose through altruism. Devoting ourselves to something bigger than just us. And a really crucial way to encourage all of this in our kids is by nurturing what's called a growth mindset. This is huge. It means praising their effort over their innate ability. So instead of saying, "Wow, you're so smart," research shows it's way more effective to say something like, "Wow, you must have worked really hard on that." That simple little shift teaches kids that their abilities can be developed, and it fosters resilience and a genuine love for taking on challenges.
Okay, so building a worldview is one thing, but how do you make it feel like a real culture? You know, how do you create those shared memories and rituals that really bind a family together? Well, this is where creating your own traditions comes in.
The approach here isn't to just throw out major cultural holidays, because that can really make kids feel left out. Instead, it's about reframing them. You can peel back the specific religious layer to celebrate the universal human themes that are hiding underneath. Things like generosity and peace around Christmas time, or renewal and new life in the spring, or celebrating light in the darkness during all those winter festivals.
And here's a brilliant, really concrete example. You can create a secular Advent tradition. So, instead of counting down to the birth of Jesus, you mark the weeks of December by focusing on core human values. Each week, you light a new candle. Maybe it's love, or hope, peace, joy, or whatever values your family chooses, and you just take a moment to talk about what that value means to you. It's a really beautiful way to create a meaningful, reflective ritual for your family.
Now, one of the biggest and, let's be honest, toughest challenges for non-religious families is replacing that built-in community that religious institutions so often provide. This is a fundamental human need we're talking about, and it definitely requires some proactive effort to fulfill.
This slide, wow, it reveals something really profound. A Gallup poll asked regular churchgoers what their main reason for attending was, and the results are pretty telling. A staggering 73% said it was for community and fellowship. Only 27% said that God or theology was their primary motivation.
So what does that tell us? It tells us that the search for community is a deeply universal human drive. The core needs that are being met here, belonging, mutual support, acceptance, encouragement, those things are not exclusive to religion. So the goal for secular families becomes finding or creating spaces that fulfill these exact same essential needs.
And the good news is, those places are out there. They might take a little bit of searching for, but there are organizations like Camp Quest for kids. There are local humanist groups, inclusive organizations like Campfire USA, or, you know what, it could just be communities built around a shared passion or cause, like volunteering for an environmental group. The key is just finding your people.
So, to kind of wrap this all up, this approach to parenting isn't defined by what it lacks. It's a really positive, constructive philosophy. It's about equipping kids with the tools of reason, nurturing their natural compassion, and fostering a profound sense of awe and appreciation for the natural world and for this one precious life that we know for sure we have.
And that leaves us with a final thought to take away with you. Whether you're religious or not, this idea of consciously and deliberately building your family's culture is so powerful. So, the question is, what's one small ritual or tradition you could start this year that truly reflects the values you want your family to live by?